teams are really going at each other hard. Ball again, watch out. Montee Ball down the sideline. Whoa, what a stiff arm. Rugged touchdown, 57 yards. Get out of my way. I'm going to Pasadena.
It wasn't that long ago that running back Montee Ball was thrilling Badger fans on Saturday afternoons. After a short career in the NFL, Ball is ready to share with others the lessons that he learned the hard way. Great pleasure to have Montee Ball in the studio. Thanks for making the trip over from Madison.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So let's get this out of the way right off the top. You have done some things to turn your life around after, a well-documented incident. Tell me about what you've done to turn your life back around.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's been documented already. I had an incident that I ran into, but I took full ownership of it. I spoke out into the public of what I was going to do to better myself and get back out into the community to help others. And what I've done is I got a certificate to counsel other people to help out others in the recovery process because I really believe in it. And throughout that process, I had a job also where I helped youth groups. I helped youth camps as well to really just facilitate and be around kids and also allow for them to grow into young men and young women as well, and to help them throughout their challenging times.
Your story is a fascinating one, I think, and can be inspirational to so many people because you had success, you played in the NFL, and it all kind of went away quickly. And maybe I'll use the term cautionary tale, but I'm sure you can share with others, don't do some of the things I did.
Absolutely, yeah. That's really been the exciting thing about everything that I've gone through is I have a lot of people asking me, what was it like playing in the NFL, what really happened and all of that stuff. And one thing I love to share with them is that for me, I was able to accomplish my dream as an 8-year-old, which was to play for the Denver Broncos in a Super Bowl. And I did that my rookie season. So that's something that no one could ever take away from me. But from there, the story I love to share with people is because I struggled in Colorado with the NFL. I love it to death, I do, but it wasn't really what I hoped for it to be. So what I share with youth groups, with anyone who really asks is if you accomplish your dream and it's not what you wanted it to be, it's okay to steer your sail elsewhere and to go accomplish other things, and that's what I've been doing.
Let's talk a little specifically about that. What about the NFL wasn't what you thought it'd be?
Yeah, so many things. Just coming from college, coming from Wisconsin, the Badgers, the atmosphere, the camaraderie, there's no other place like it. No other place like it here in Wisconsin. But when I took off to Denver, like I said, it was my dream to play for the Broncos. For me, I felt alone. I felt rushed. It's a fast-paced, business-oriented game. And for me, I kind of didn't mesh too well with that. And no bad feelings towards the NFL. I still pride myself on accomplishing that dream, and I still watch it every day, but it just didn't go too well for me.
When you look back at your years in Madison, 2009 through 2012, Heisman finalist, won the Doak Walker Award, what do you think of when you think of those years?
Yeah, a lot. I think of friends, man. I think of friends. A lot of my college roommates who were my teammates, I think of them when I think of that stuff because I would not have been able to accomplish or receive those accolades if it weren't for them doing their job on the field. But other than that, I think of the fans who were there every single game and my direct messages wishing me good luck and all of that stuff. They really, really helped me out and gave me that extra push to go and do better things.
Second round pick by the Broncos, you mentioned playing in a Super Bowl. So when that ride ends quickly, how do you adjust to that?
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. The transition is very difficult. You can go and Google many stories of athletes struggling to transition from their professional sport into the quote real world. And for me, the main thing that I had to kind of settle with is closing that door. I love therapy. I love speaking to my therapist, who I still talk to this day. And the one thing that he kept telling me was, I have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and I'm not going anywhere. Because I was deciding to go back, but I was like, I don't know if I really like it. And he told me I have to be comfortable with closing that door and moving on.
I've never seen anything linking you to CTE,
right.
But do you think that maybe some of your troubles resulted from that?
So after the situation that happened, I actually reached out to the NFLPA, and they have a program where it's called the Brain and Body Study, I took off to Cleveland Clinic last year in April to get a full brain scan from head to toe, all the way down to my toenails, to figure out what's wrong, kind of a baseline outside of the NFL, or once you're done with it, I should say. The results came back good, negative, I should say. Came back negative, but the thing with CTE, some of the studies, they have to wait until post-mortem.
So you've had a son. How has that changed your perspective?
My son has changed everything. Born April 2nd, 2016, 2 months after my incident, and my son completely sobered me up. For me, it was, once I held him in my hands and my arms, I finally was given a purpose. After the game of football, I finally knew that my decision to remain sober is not only for me, it's so my son can reap the benefits of a sober father, a father making better decisions with his life, and someone to really give my heart to.
I think this is an important point, because I'm sure there are people watching that have come from a family like you did, with some alcohol abuse handed down.
Absolutely.
And it takes someone to say, enough of that in this family, and you're trying to do that.
That's my thing, man. I've been very passionate about sharing my story, being very passionate about getting into the recovery world, because I think mental health right now, especially awareness, is at its high, and I'm very passionate about it. So for me, I always share my story with people, and they always come back and tell me, like, my father or my brother or my sister or my cousin struggle with alcoholism, so thank you for sharing your story. And I always tell them, whether they direct message me on social media, I tell them to please reach out to me whenever you want to speak, and whatever I'm doing, I drop to reach out or to answer their questions.
Back with former Badgers running back Montee Ball, who has started the Montee Ball Fund to fund mental health education and support services for all student athletes at UW.
Yep.
Tell me about this passion and why you're doing this.
Yes, so my alcohol addiction really took off in college, because I kind of felt like I was in this fishbowl. I kind of felt like all eyes were on me, and it was my way of self-medicating. Just because of the societal pressures of, being that player on the field, but also some familiar pressures as well. So I self-medicated with alcohol, and it took off from there. So I know that there are other student athletes that are going through the same thing. So I wanted to start a fund to really take care of these athletes, allow for them to have a healthy outlet, to maybe speak about some of their issues to someone, or be given the proper resources for help.
We will talk about a golf tournament to raise some money for that coming up later in the show. But I'm interested, and I don't mean to indict UW on this. I think you could say this about any major college athletic program. But is so much attention paid to the body that not enough is paid to the mental health?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I don't want to say that they completely forget about the mental side of it, but just like you said, so much is focused on what's going on externally. How are your muscles looking? How are your fingers or what have you, to be able to play the game that you love to play. But a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is your mentality, and I believe that if they focus, or if we give more attention to that, give more attention to the players, that they'll do better out on the field.
What's the reaction you've gotten from Barry Alvarez and other Wisconsin officials?
Absolutely, they've been on board. They've been on board. I met with Barry. He was excited about it. He thanked me for it. I thanked him for it, just for having a meeting with him. But they're all on board, and I'm excited that they are. And it's we're all coming together collectively just to help out the UW student athletes. When
you have a conversation with the current Badger football players, away from the cameras and just two people talking, what's your advice to them?
My advice to the student athletes?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody, because it's so fast. You're young. You're at a very impressionable stage in your life. You're trying to be a student. You're someone's child as well. But if you're a student athlete, you have more on your plate. So don't feel like you have to be a superhero. Reach out if you need help, and it's okay to have some things that are bothering you, to talk about it.
And your progress toward a degree.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, so I took time off this spring because I wanted to get some things figured out with my family, my girlfriend and my son. They're going to move in with me here. I'm going to engage and all that stuff. But I'm going to re-enroll in the spring and then finish my degree in the fall.
And maybe go for a master's eventually?
Absolutely, yes.
In
so,
what?
Sociology. So I really enjoy social work, man. I love giving back. I love it. It's where my heart is. I love helping people with their issues. My sister's a clinical psychologist, yes, so she took the psychology path, and I took the sociology path.
I think it's instructive for all of us to see someone that was going down one path and then made the positive steps that you did, instead of saying, I'm going to feel sorry for myself for the rest of my life. You're doing something positive. Was there a breakthrough moment, a light shining that said, I got to turn things around?
Yeah, I think it was when my son was born. Honestly, when my son was born, I knew that I had to make a change. I had to, because I knew that I'm not only doing this for myself anymore. I have someone's really looking up to me now. Someone's really dependent on my mindset and what I do as a father figure. So he's really looking up to me, and that was really the pivotal moment for me, is when my son was born. And from there, it's been very rewarding.
Having a son that went to Madison, that's not an easy town to avoid temptations.
Yes, so I'm writing a book, and my book is a dedication to my son. I understand that, so whenever I speak to people, I know I can't get up there and say, don't ever drink alcohol, ever, because that's something that no one's going to listen to. And it's an impossible thing to really defeat, or maybe a message to put out there. For me, my message to my son, I obviously would love for him not to drink, but to tread lightly, to make sure to listen to me, look at my mistakes, and if you choose to go that route, if you choose to experiment a little bit, just come and ask me about it. Come and talk to me.
Several former teammates have been helpful, but Chris Borland especially, right?
Chris is a really good friend of mine. He actually came into my home during the tough times, and we had a good talk. We had a good catching up. We go way back. Back in our freshman year in college, I took a trip up north with his family, a camping trip, just me and all of them for 5 days out in the woods. So we have a really good bond.
And he's content with his decision.
He is. He mentioned, it's documented in the media, he had a tough transition out of the NFL, but he's very content with his decision because of where his body was at.
Back with former Badgers and NFL running back Montee Ball, who has the Montee Ball Fund and a golf tournament on June 15th to benefit that. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's at Bridges Golf Course in Madison. And what I wanted to do is I teamed up with UW Athletics to create the Montee Ball Fund, which is established to provide mental health support and educational services for UW student athletes. And that is why I'm having the golf tournament, to raise funds for it.
Talk about some of the guys coming in for it and what you hope to accomplish.
Yes, I got a bunch of good guys coming back. Chris Borland, Melvin Gordon, Jared Abadaris. I mean, the list goes on and on. Warren Herring, Darius Feaster, who's on The Bachelorette. So a bunch of guys are coming back just to get the group back together, just to really pour our hearts into it and take care of these UW student athletes.
So when the NFL dream came to an end, when did you know that it was time to move on, and was that difficult?
Man, when did I know? I think I knew my second year, once I injured my groin, and that was very difficult to handle. That's why I said I felt like I was alone in Denver. I really didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to. I reached out to my family, but they actually live here in Wisconsin, so I didn't really have anyone there personally to speak to. And then from there, like I said, the transition was tough. It was tough for me. I had to speak to a therapist. I had to get my alcohol addiction pretty much eliminated. I got it eliminated. And then talk about the NFL. We talked a lot about my transition, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to get into, and how I'm going to do it.
So I don't mean to put words in your mouth about the Broncos experience, but were there people reaching out to try to help you, or was it like, hey, if you can't get it together, we'll find somebody else?
It's a business. It's a business, and I get it. I do. I understand it. The coaches, they have families to feed as well. But at the time, my running back coach noticed that I was having some issues. I was coming in.
Who's from Madison?
Absolutely. Yes. Yep. I was having some.
And his name?
Eric Studesville.
Yep.
Yeah, running back coach Eric Studesville. Great guy, awesome guy. I love him to death. We still keep in contact today. But he noticed some things, and he told me if I need some help, he can most definitely give me some resources, reach out, and be there for me. But I gave him the cold shoulder.
So if you had known then what you know now, would you have done anything differently?
Absolutely. I would. Hindsight's 2020. For me, what I would tell my younger self in the NFL is cherish the moment, cherish it. Small percentage of people make it to this level, and to not take it for granted.
And even a smaller percentage get to play in a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
What was that day like? It has to be just maddening waiting for kickoff.
Absolutely. So, once we beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, I sealed the game with a run for a first down, and it hit me then. Once we started celebrating on the field, they brought the whole stage out. They were the AFC champs, but then for a week, because we took off a week before the game, it didn't really hit me until national anthem. Once the national anthem, someone started singing. I saw the lights from the fans. They got their phones out, and I'm like, wow, this is the biggest stage. The world has stopped to watch this game.
And yet, professional success can be empty if your whole person isn't together, right?
Yes, that's where it starts. Starts in your mind, in between your ears, and that's even what they preach in the league as well. It's with the playbook. It's how much you can retain, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself off the field mentally and also physically.
Would you ever consider coaching down the road?
I thought about it. I really did. I'm 27 right now, so I got plenty of time. But I think right now I'm going to focus my attentions on giving back, but most importantly, being there for my son and thanking him. He's 2 years old right now, but I kind of feel like he knows I'm thanking him.
You mentioned earlier writing a book. Tell us about that and how that came about.
Yes. I want to write a book for my son. It's 95% complete right now, still in the editing process, but it's dedicated to him because I want for him to know what I struggled with. I want for him to know that I'm going to always be in his corner, that he will always have someone to talk to never feel like you're isolated, to never withdraw yourself from any type of family environment, just to always feel like I'm there for you.
And if he says he wants to play football, what would you say?
Everyone always asks me that question. For me, I think what I would do is, my son comes and asks me if he wants to play football. It'd be very tough for me to say no, because he's going to see the trophies on the wall. He's going to see everything that I've been blessed to get from the game of football. But we've been giving him a baseball right now.
And why? I'm just curious.
So his mother, my girlfriend right now, she works for the Colorado Rockies right now. And like I said, I took time off of school because I'm actually moving them here. Mm-hmm. Their entire family is really into the game of baseball.
If you had to do it over again, would you play football again?
I would, but I would, like I said, I would tell myself to don't take it for granted. I was always blessed to be the best on the team, and I think I carried that chip on my shoulder into the NFL and didn't work as hard.
So back to the golf tournament, if someone watching wants to still get involved, how can they do that?
Absolutely. Go to my website, monteball28.com, click on Swing for Recovery link, and from there you'll be able to see where you need to register. And I'm most definitely hoping everyone registers. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a great time.
Sounds good. Final thoughts with Monte Ball after this.